5 now.
Hello, Stuart.
But hi. I didn't see you there. Sorry.
Is that how this works? I mean, I have to look at you on
Yes.
my screen because that's where the OBS is. So
Ah,
right
the
there.
obs.
You're there, and you're there. So my peripheral, my main vision, my peripheral, peripheral. Oh, you're everywhere. If I had 3 monitors, I make sure you're on the other side, so you're just surrounding me with your visage. So you're an important man, Stuart. You should on 3 monitors, I guess. Maybe.
Indeed. Yes. Welcome back, guys. We're live.
Back again, and we're kind of excited, I think, to talk about these big debate topics in this episode because we've been fully featured with things to talk about. We kind of held ourselves back in the edited review, the edited one. Now we just go wild, and we're going to go wild.
Yes, and I want you guys to join us. So chime in.
And I'm just going to go straight to sharing. Get people in. Get them all in.
Go for it. And I'll get notified in like 4 hours, 5 hours. Guys, you know that super chats are a great way to support the channel and show your love. We do read them all. Mark just put one in, so that is awesome. Thank you so much. We will get to those. We read them all on the air, so if you want to contribute that way, you can do so. You can also join the channel at the rank of Commander, Captain, Admiral, Fleet Admiral, and Federation President, and we encourage you guys to do that if possible. We really do love you guys and want to share this stuff with you and talk with you. So if you can support us in any way possible, that's awesome. You can send a PayPal to Trekyards, at hotmail.com. Just let us know in the regular chat that you sent that, and we will go ahead and read your comment or question via the email from PayPal. Other than that, there's links down below for the Teespring store, the TeePublic store. You know the routine. This is the spiel I do every day. And usually it's the regulars that hear this all the time. So I should change it up and do something new, I guess. Visit Trekyards.com. That's an actual website thing. But yeah. So yeah, I'm just going to sit here and look and stare at Samuel while he shares things. I'm just kidding. I'm not going to do that. Anyway, yeah, welcome back. We're going to talk about some time travel shenanigans, whether deliberate or, unintentional. We're not really sure, but we will get that sorted out during the course of the season on Prodigy. So we'll talk about that today and find out what's going on. At least I hope we get answers.
Back.
He's
guys, back. I'm finally wearing my Trekyards hoodie because it's the right temperature. Good hoodie, very nice, properly printed on. No sticker bullshit. Proper. They were a TeePublic store. It's nice. Yes. It's comfy. It's well fitting.
This is talking about the TeePublic store.
So look, this. It looks great. Walked around it and.
It's missing the pinup lady though.
Nope, this is just what I want. I can walk in public with this version.
Yeah, you can go. I go in public with this shit all the time.
I know you, probably.
Anyway, so Mark Lawrence throws in $5. Now, just how far forward is this ship from?
We'll discuss.
Yeah, we will.
I'm certainly gonna bring up the picture of the Chakotay and stuff.
The Chakotay.
Let me start a poll though. Let's see if I can make a contrived, confusing time travel poll.
It shouldn't be too hard with time travel.
But we do actually have time to about time though. We have 2 hours, so.
We do, yeah. Just. So guys, we want to hear your thoughts and theories about this. Is the ship from the future? I mean, obviously it must be. We'll talk about it. Lots to discuss. We know Chakotay is or was the captain of it. But they've also been searching for it for a long time, the diviners. So, yeah. Can't be too far forward since it has to be within Chakotay's lifetime. His captaincy does, yes, but not the ship necessarily. the ship could be from the farther future. But yeah, it's definitely got to be a few years after Voyager anyway. So we'll get into that discussion, I am sure. Yeah. In case you guys haven't seen the last episode of Prodigy, I suggest you do so. It is called Kobayashi, and it is very, very good. And you will not be disappointed, I don't think. Just for the record. Ania Jane, yeah, what do you mean time travel? I want to hear this. If you don't know, here's this brief summary. In the last episode, we saw a flashback to 17 years earlier, where Deadlock and the Diviner were discussing things, and they've been searching for the ship for a number of years, and many others have done so as well. So 17 years ago, at least, the beginning of TNG, is when we got the flashback to. And, you know, putting a couple of years on top of that, let's round it up to a nice 20. So at least 20 years before. And then at the end of the episode, we found out that Chakotay, Captain Chakotay, was the captain of the Protostar. So I'm just saying, there's something funky going on. Yeah. Ania says, my impression is that real Janeway authorized this hologram, so Admiral Janeway, Time Queen, might have sent it. Well, we don't know. Playing a Star Trek game, 2001, says Jason. Dun, dun, dun. Which Star Trek game?
So I asked a poll. I was trying to think of 4 alternatives. So I said, time travel. What do you think? The ship is from the future? Prodigy? Yeah, Progeny, yes?
Prodigy.
Prodigy, yes. Prodigy is actually set in the future, and than when we think it's set, because we haven't necessarily had a relative time. They've not said what the date is necessarily. There might be some jiggery pokery there for when the show's actually set, so they're not actually from the future. Alternate timeline Protostar, or the computer code's been altered, so it's all a lie.
Very good option.
Because if the Diviner or someone of his race got into it, they could have reprogrammed it. If the ship already had access to Chakotay from the systems, they could have easily changed a few things, and all one elaborate lie.
So lots of possibilities, and hopefully we'll get the answers relatively soon. I hope they don't play it out too long, but
which answers do you want, though? There's when, there's where, there's how, there's who, there's if, there's because, there's a lot of questions.
I'd actually honestly like the alternate timeline Protostar idea, to be fair. We kind of discussed that like when we first saw the ship as well. But yeah, I don't think Prodigy is set in the future necessarily. It's when they said it was.
Why? Because I just meant that could be an interesting conceit where potentially they're actually in the present, and maybe the Protostar does go in time, and so when they jumped away from the Diviner, then they went back in time.
Ooh.
And so the ship was only lost a couple of months ago, but it was lost in the 20 years ago, which then he's been searching for, not realizing it's the same ship. Something like that. There could be clever trickery with that. Does that make sense?
Somewhat.
So it's one ship. It's Protostar gets sent to the Delta Quadrant, lost, say, 2 years ago, and then it gets sent back in time, crashes, and then finds, and so it is, a little bit jiggery pokery.
Sure. Absolutely.
It is hard to think of alternates, though, compared to just time travel. I'll be honest.
Maybe it's all wrapping up to the end of the season. Maybe Gwendala and Dal have a kid, so he's like the last of their species now, even though they're kind of mixed. And the ship goes back in time at the end of the series and crashes, and he's on the hunt for his grandbaby. That's really looking forward, though, and assuming that you're going to have a few seasons of the show at least.
That's the thing. Where's the season 2 cliffhanger?
Dun, dun, dun.
But let's grab that picture then. Let's look at the Chakotay picture, see what we can glean, because I don't think there's enough information to look at the uniform specifically, because it's quite out of, there's some, but it's out of focus, or it's out of hologrammed.
Mhm.
So here's a
Mhm.
relative picture, and what we can glean from this is that, obviously Chakotay, he has got a grey streak in his hair. You can see it, but it's just a single grey streak. Although, as we know, hair, no hair, or anything in between is a choice. So he needs to be 100 and have black hair. It's just changing follicle colour. Who's to say? But he doesn't look particularly old. Looks about the same. But you wouldn't expect him to look much different from his, 50s to his 60s in the Trek world. So who's to say?
Yeah, I'd say it's at least 5 years after Voyager or more that he would be captaining this thing. I mean, the show's set when? Like 5 years after Voyager?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
In fact, let me...
Also raises the question, is Janeway actually a training program, or is she like a holographic advisor?
Well, that's the same question. Why would he ask the low-end training simulation to come up and help? That's not really... They never did that for any other... he's a good enough captain not to need her, and the other captain said, "Computer, give me some help, please." So that's not really what happens.
But I can see him picking her avatar as like what he would want as somebody he can kind of trust and rely on.
Well, that's the question of, did he abandon his crew and him go, he's the only survivor going through time, which would then mean, who would he call upon to help him through those dark times on the other side? Janeway makes sense. He's confidant. Janeway or Torres. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to try and smooth out this uniform by taking away the glitchiness and just kind of make it a more uniform colour. See if I can see how it would look without all that colour variation.
Awesome. In the meantime, guys, hit that like button. We have 46 people watching and 39 likes. I think we can easily get up to 50. 11 more likes. Hit that like button. By all means, super chat. Let us know your thoughts on this. We should come up with some good theories and ideas as we go along here, and we'll see how it plays out, because they obviously have things planned from the very beginning as to what they're going to be doing.
Stuart? Isn't that bloody refreshing?
Yes, it absolutely is. It's not like, we're going to change our mind next episode, and...
we should kill Patrick Stewart, shouldn't we? Oh, that's a great idea. When should we tell him?
Idea.
Next week we start shooting. Oh, think we pissed? Who cares?
Everybody wants to do a death scene.
Yeah.
I mean, that's probably true of all actors, but still. Yeah. And same with Discovery. I mean, Discovery got changed so many times in the course of production that, this is kind of refreshing to see. So, happy about that at least.
So the question is, though, do they have more than 2 seasons of story planned and take the risk they won't get renewed? Or do they kind of have 2 years of stories and then have an, because something this potentially grand.
They already announced? Yeah, they already have announced the second season, haven't they?
Well, it's commissioned at the same time, or about the same time.
This first season's like 20 episodes, so...
Pretty cool.
Sergeant Montgomery has been a member for 14 months at the rank of captain, so welcome. Thank you, Captain. Kelvin timeline being more advanced than Prime could have avoided border war with Cardassians keeping Chakotay in Starfleet. That hurt my head. Yeah. And that's the thing. Is this Prime Chakotay, or is this an alternate reality Chakotay? Could be an alternate reality based on the uniform, because it doesn't match up with what we see in Picard, which we've seen 2 different uniforms in Picard, 2 different kind of time periods leading up to that.
Yeah, we've seen almost present day, because the flashback isn't that far away from Lower Decks and stuff. It's not a huge disparity time wise.
Guys, hit that like button. We need 8 more likes. And there's 8 of you out there that haven't hit it. Trust me, I know these things.
But is it more exciting to be alternate universe or just time travel?
Yes.
Because
No, time travel's been done way a lot. I'd really love an alternate timeline thing that kind of pulls... I mean, they're doing it with Discovery, kind of the multiverse of Trek almost now, with Tarka wanting to get to another universe. So... and they've already mentioned the Kelvin timeline in Discovery as well last season. So, I mean, there's a lot going on there. And I think with the success of the MCU and that kind of multiverse idea that's coming up with Doctor Strange, that it's something that could definitely be a distinct possibility. We've already seen it. We've already seen that it exists, because we've seen the episode parallels, where all these enterprises just start popping up.
Well, we know this can't be the Kelvin timeline because first of all they have TOS in this timeline because that's the uniforms we see of the people. So there is no Kelvin. This isn't Kelvin. But other
Well,
parallel.
it could be that the ship came through, Starfleet found it, and reconfigured it, uploaded their database, got a new captain, and this technology is cool.
Bit of a leap just to have Kelvin-looking technology, then.
Hey, you know what?
Yes.
If I wanted your opinion, I'd give it to you.
Well, what do you think? What are you going to tell me then?
I have no idea.
Aha!
Eric Martin though throws in $5.
Thanks, Eric.
I'm working on complicated spreadsheets, so I'll let you guys talk temporal mech analysis. Temporal mechanics, yes.
That is a good rationale. I'm almost done with the. And I'm assuming he has 4 pips, but I can only see 3. But I mean that's just the angle of the thing. I'm also noting something else as I do this, so tune for that in a moment.
I'm tuned in. I'm waiting. Maybe this Chakotay had Janeway as his first officer. No.
No.
Unless it's a holographic first officer. And no, because what?
That would be very confusing.
Does the presence of Leonard Nimoy and Spock rule out Kelvin timeline? Although it would be another alternate universe.
What does the TOS uniforms do? There was never a Hurin TOS uniform ever in the Kelvin timeline.
Yeah.
So
but let's say,
yeah,
like I said, let's say the ship comes from the Kelvin timeline,
mm-hmm.
and the crew died in the transition.
Oh,
and Starfleet finds it and is like, hey, this is like a Starfleet-like design. What the hell? And then they reconfigure. Well, they don't reconfigure. They prepare the ship, upload their database, so it does have that information in it. So anything's possible at this point. That's all we're saying.
And here's my sort of Photoshop to kind of unify the costume. Now, slight disclaimer that there is a darker patch on the lower half of his torso. Maybe a shadow. It may be another black layer, which is certainly possible. Because there might just be a stripe within a stripe. But that's what it roughly looks like. So how's that look now? You're kind of seeing it more core.
I like the design for sure. The insignia or the Delta looks
same as ProStar. It's got the internal stuff.
It almost looks like the animated series one a little bit. But yeah.
So this is the ProStar badge, which you already knew, but he's gonna wear it as well. Now, what I'm wondering, this is going to involve another bit of graphic work. I'm actually thinking that he might, because that looks like a blue uniform to me. Well, that's why I colour it blue. I colour match with all the colours.
Well, Janeway's does have a hint of red there, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just finding the dual graphic. Because if this is a super special science ship...
Yeah. He could have gone into science as when he got back as well. From the Delta Quadrant. And yeah, if he gets captain... And it is a prototype ship, so...
Because if you look at... So here's the graphic with sort of more comparative version of the two colours. You can see Janeway's neckline, which is a sort of a bluey grey. That's what that is meant to represent. And then the shoulder is meant to be bright red. Well, that colour does not match Chakotay's jacket. That red colour is completely the wrong hue. It matches much closer to grey blue, so it looks as if Chakotay's wearing a blue here.
Blue or grey? It'd be interesting if it was
blue or grey. Yes. What, you think maybe they first contact grey, and then like have cuffs that are coloured?
Possibly. I don't see why not. That'd be kind of neat.
A bit more militaristic though than I think the show would be going for.
Well, you never know.
But I mean, because I personally don't think you need to have red to be captain. I think that's silly. I think there's red is command captain, but what about, well, let me go look at All Good Things. I mean, does Beverly wear a red? I think she does, doesn't she? But
Yes,
why?
she does.
But why would you need to wear
But I'm
red if
thinking
you're a medical captain?
you don't. Well, unless you're going for the uniformity of all captains were the same thing. But look at the movies. I mean, Scotty was a captain. He still had the like orange undershirt as opposed to the white because he was in engineering.
But he wasn't captaining in command though, and that's a distinction. This shows in command. Can the in command officer be wearing not the command red? Because it's clearly not wearing command red.
Maybe he
Unless,
was just there as a science specialist, and the captain died, and he took command.
well, I mean, if you, I mean, there may be 4 pips, maybe 3 pips, because that might be Commander Chakotay. Do they say Captain Chakotay in the dialogue, or is that an assumption? Because maybe he was
No,
a
I think
command.
we can see. I think we can see the little picture of him that that Rock Talk
Oh,
hits.
that might have
You
4.
can see the captain's bars.
Yeah, I think you're right. That's
Captain's
4.
pips.
Okay, let me look at All Good Things, because I do think she had red. I don't know why you'd need to.
Let me see if I can suss that out.
Not that, you know, she never did much, you know. So what's the point of being a medical doctor in charge of a medical ship and you just spend your time being a captain? It's like, well, where's the medicaliness? But it's definitely a different colour. And there shouldn't be lighting on the set that would change. Because presumably they've rendered this as real people in the set and then added a filter on top, so it should represent whatever. And obviously, though, you've got the fact that the 2 uniforms are from very different eras, and so you've got because the hue of the TNG is different to the hue of the Voyager, is different to the hue of the... they all have slightly different reds, purple, blues, and oranges. So maybe it's a much brighter red, and therefore it works. But yeah, it's different colour. What do you guys think?
Yeah, that little circle one doesn't really show too much, does it?
Starfleet Instructor's interesting. Don't know why he'd be in blue, though. Yeah, we assumed Chakotay was there as a captain of whatever. Maybe he's showing the kids or showing officers the way. If you colour correct the image a little, Jeremy's red pops out and Chakotay's gets a lot more purple. Yeah, but you can colour correct anything to anything. And yes, click like.
It does look like he has 4 pips.
Yeah.
When he's sitting in the chair, there's one that's really high up. Looks like it's way far back.
Yeah, definitely too high, but...
It does. Yeah.
Now, actually, I think if you look at the collar, I think there might be a line of colour at the top of his collar. I think now I'm looking at there's a slight colour differentiation.
Yeah, it does look like that, yeah.
Okay, let me make an tweak.
Like the piping on the TNG ones.
Like a little bit, yeah. Which, you know, if you're trying to make a hybrid...
And when he looks over his shoulder, you can see the pips a bit better too, but I can only really see 3 there.
Because if you look at you look at the scene, the under portion, so below the badge, there's blue and then looks to be black. Is there actually black, or is that just a shadow? Because, I mean, the blue is pretty distinct, and yet...
I guess just a shadow.
Because otherwise, that's a crop top of blue. Like, just, you know, like here.
A stripe of... Yeah. But it looks like... Actually, it does look like it could be black, because it also looks like it carries over onto the sleeve, which kind of looks ugly and sloppy.
Yeah, it's really weird. Like a micro TNG, where the TNG has a slight dip at the bottom, like all the way up. And then we do a variant with that represented, because, you know, see what looks best.
Shane Ackery, $2. Beverly went through command training. Yeah, you'd have to be captain.
Yeah, you'd have to. Yeah, that's just standard. So here is it with the piping, Stuart. Let me know what you think of that. I think it definitely improves it. A little bit of colour up top. And as a uniform, this is obviously very TNG-esque.
Yes.
But it has a sort of... the crispiness of First Contact. But also the dip of the future one then gets replaced here with a point, which makes more with the sides, I guess. The point turns into a dip. No, wait, the dip is in the future Picard uniform, the present day one.
Yeah, it is. If it is gray, it could be like an undershirt like Picard had when he had his
Well,
jacket on. Um,
did
but
consider that as well, yeah. Hmm.
yeah, DB Max said that too. Actually, it could be gray. Picard just wore the gray undershirt to his captain's jacket on TNG on occasion. Yes.
Yeah, because the original version, you know, it's clearly no neck dip. It's all clearly solid black.
Mm-hmm.
But at least there are pips there should be. At least we haven't put the pips down below.
It'd be easier to see for us right now.
Well,
but hey.
Okay. I'm gonna try then the variant with the under black. See how that looks. Cause it's certainly a bit weird.
Well, I've hit 60 likes, guys. 77 people here now, so I'm going to go for 80 likes, another 20 likes. If you haven't hit that like button, give it a hit. We really appreciate it.
And
you could vote on the poll. We have 73 votes. We'd like to get to 100 on those generally.
We do.
So check out the poll and see what you think. If you paid attention in the episode, yes, there's a flashback to 17 years ago where the diviner has been looking for the ship for a number of years already. And then we find out at the end that Chakotay was in fact the captain. Captain Chakotay.
Which was definitely a curveball.
Oh, yes.
Well, boy, I'm obviously still hoping we're going to get present-day Chakotay as well. Although, is that too much for the first sort of Voyager spin-off? To have an endgame subplot where you have old Chakotay and young Chakotay in the same show, given that was literally how Voyager ended? Or is that just, you know, as George Lucas would say, it's, you know, it's poetry, it rhymes?
I don't think it would be too much, honestly. I think it'd be kind of cool. But what do I know?
I mean, you're just a captain after all.
Wow.
Okay, so here's the variant.
How do you know I'm a captain? I don't have pips on.
I have 2 comm badges and 2... I just have my dad's pips where I said, what rank is a specialist?
Nice.
That's such a not rank. It's my little cheat. Okay, so this is if you take the shadow areas literally for a uniform. Now, what do you think of that then? Including the collar. Let's wait for the live to come in.
Yeah, it'll take a second.
Eric says, Chakotay stole the ship and went into the Parsons Delta Quadrant to prevent Seska from screwing her over, and all went wrong. I mean, certainly taking his cues from other Janeway.
Let's be fair. Maybe he was sent to stop Admiral Janeway from messing things up.
Oh my goodness. Trying to untemporal prime directive the temporal future prime. Oh goodness.
Yeah, I mean, because... Oh, I don't like the black stripe. It seems very military, like almost camo. Almost like Mako-y.
I mean, it's vaguely sharp as well. And it looks as if the line would connect with... so it'll all kind of be... But it's so minimal. But if you bring it back in the colour, I guess bring it back in halfway? But given the Picard flashback uniforms are just the Voyager ones would be a bit more line sharp, seems like an odd direction to go. Whereas this is what I
don't like it. I hope they don't do that.
No, I sort of like it, but I'm like, do I actually like it? I don't think I actually like it. Looks confusing. Let me change. It's obviously not what the situation is, but let me...
Chakotay died in 2394, alternate timeline. Yeah. Well, it's probably just not timeline. It's probably the prime line.
Yeah, that's why he can't be also from Endgame, because he's not alive. And he's from Endgame 2, because she changed the future, etc. And it's like, yep, things keep going bad to worse, Janeway. What did you do?
Don't screw with things.
It's like there was 2 or 3 timelines for Endgame, and they kept doing stuff to try and fix it. He's from one of the un-timelines. But what if he's the villain? Yeah, what if
he stole the ship?
Well, what if he came from what if he came from another alternate timeline where things hadn't gone bad? You know, trying to stop, like I say, maybe even stop whoever from whatever. And he's ended up being the baddie of the show. And because he's 17 years older now, evil him.
Maybe them coming to this time or whatever was the reason that the diviner is the last of his kind, and the diviner is actually the good guy trying to save his species.
Yeah. I mean, has he really been that evil so far? I mean, Deadlock has, but he's programmed to be mean.
He left his...
Yeah, to save his entire species, and if he goes back in time with a ship, then he'll save them. Is that not then a nice thing to do?
I guess so.
Saving your future non-born grand or child, and then you can reborn her later.
Reborn her.
It's like Jason Bourne, but with a clone tank.
Those are words that were said by Samuel.
They were, yes. Under protest, I think, though, because, you know what I'm saying.
Uh-huh.
I'm just finishing off this photo.
I don't know. There's lots of different possibilities for sure, and man.
Well, they seem less now we're starting to talk about them. It seems slightly more clear-cut what it can't be, you know?
Well, not really, though.
Oh, okay, shut that down.
In my opinion, I don't know. It's Star Trek and it's sci-fi. Anything is possible, honestly, if it's explained interestingly enough. So
but it is in theory not a children's show, but a you don't need to be a fan to watch it show. And so if you go heavy, hardcore Star Trek lore, I mean, they haven't done that so far. I mean, Maru is an exception, but also you didn't need to be a fan to appreciate it necessarily.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the uniform I wish he was wearing. Bit of a cheeky little Photoshop there.
Mm-hmm.
How's that looking in comparison?
Don't know yet.
But if it is for Alternate Future, obviously, they can use a different colour. I mean, maybe he's one of the early time specialists, and his uniform is a grey, purple, etc.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that uniform looks better. I like that one a lot.
And not the harder conversion either. Because this one would be easy to tell because of the stripes. Easily tell what uniform it is.
Like it's the same grey streak that Chakotay had in Timeless. Yes. Makes sense.
No.
Hair.
No, I'll change it back.
I mean, the whole slavery thing makes the diviner pretty evil, aside from his motivations. Well, yes, and children and children and whatever.
Oh yeah, that bit's pretty evil.
So, yeah. But maybe it didn't start out that way. Maybe it started out to be desperation, and the ends justify the means kind of thing.
Well, Janeway killed trillions of people by redoing the timeline, so she thought it was worth undoing every baby ever born, all the families she met, just to save her crew and save the future, so,
Michael says, Carlos says, nah, change it back.
Yeah, and I did. But anyway, so it's just, I don't know, or maybe they're tricking us with the colour, just so we don't know yet. Maybe they did, because that is a very strong blue for a blue hologram, whereas all the other colours seem to be modified a bit. Is that a deliberate mischief? I think it's weird if it would be, but...
It's still prevent people from us speculating until next episode, where we start reading his file or something and we see an actual color picture.
Yeah. Which hopefully we're going to have some nice clear... In fact, let me change the hologram.
Temporal agent, Captain Chakotay. There you go.
Well, that made more sense if it was Janeway, because she actually was, helped the temporal people. Let's see, where's the one that I saw on the display? Alright, so that's the other picture, which does show clearly there's no collar. I mean, you can't get more, clear than the... Oh, is it? Is that his tattoo in the picture? Is his tattoo on the wrong side in this? Or is that just...
No, it's on the right. It's on the
Oh no, because the thing's flipping. That's why.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's turning.
Let me flip myself then. It's clearly got no. It's clear. I mean, it's clear. Yeah, from the start. It's clearly a brand new uniform.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, that looks like it feels like it's more TNG-esque with the kind of fabric. It has a heavy fabric vibe, but it's so much black though. I mean, we haven't had. I
like the black on the back. Did you see it over a shoulder shot of him? Like the black actually comes up pretty high. It's not as low as it is in the front.
Oh, okay.
Which
That's interesting.
looks good, actually.
Let's have a look. A back shot, you say?
When he first materializes.
That is very high, isn't it? Although I can't see.
Seems like it anyway.
Although I don't know if I can see a line around his neck for colour. I don't know if I can. There's sort of a vague shadow there, but. So is that?
Sort of the full body shot of him in the chair. You can see his pants, kind of.
Oh yeah, they're so far away. It's.
And it does look like the lower parts of the sleeves are black. Actually.
It does, yeah.
On both sides, it's even. Huh. Dislike, hit that dislike button. No, not you guys.
Yeah, you're right. Is there also colour on the arms?
It looks like it. It looks like there's almost like a band, like the Wrath of Khan uniforms.
Or like Star Trek First Contact, they've got a little tiny one. Okay, let me finish up this one as well. Well, I'll bring it up for the fans. Because that is a very odd shot, actually. Definitely kind of... Because, I mean, it's so... The difference between the colour part and the not colour part is so strong. It's hard to kind of not just... We'll see it and say, oh, actually, yes. Okay, not that shot. Next one.
The Diviner could be an anorex-type villain, started out with noble intents, but soon became a complete monster who wiped people from existence just to get his family back. Yeah, that's totally acceptable under the circumstances. It would be not acceptable. Sorry, understandable. There's a difference.
Well, it's how far do you go if the entire race of your species is at stake? Do you really think the last of your kind would say, "Oh yeah, oh no, it's fine. Don't hurt those 3 children. All of our race will die out. It's fine." It's like, well, they might say, you know what, our entire race, we've got the DNA bank, we can repopulate. No, oh, just let us die. Well, you know, it's tricky. Okay, let me do some more photoshopping, because if this uniform, yeah, is what we think.
No, it's not the lower decks comm badge. It's
No.
the Prodigy comm badge. Start that.
It's very, very much so.
Unless it's a type of special ops uniform. Yeah. Then I would have no problem with the lower part of the sleeves and the bottom being black. And actually, I could see Chakotay getting into some kind of special ops thing, honestly.
Well, I mean, the ship is the fastest ship they made.
Yeah. So
That's quite special opsy. But is the actual job in the Delta Quadrant? Is there, you know, what's the mission then?
Well, the mission was to be sent to the Delta Quadrant. Didn't they say that?
Well, yeah, but that's not the mission. What's the mission in the Delta Quadrant? You know?
To go to the Delta Quadrant.
Well, why would it be
really fast? And then come back just to show that it's doable.
Why would you need a special ops officer for that?
Because, damn it.
Because. Oh, I didn't realise. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's the best reason, man. Yeah, I don't know. It could be some kind of tactical thing, honestly, to deal with a threat from the Delta Quadrant. Were there any massive threats they didn't kind of wrap up in Voyager? I don't think so.
Well, I mean, the Borg aren't actually destroyed.
Yeah.
And maybe he's a scout. Maybe they finally thought, oh, we need to go to Delta Quadrant and find out what the hell happened to the Borg. I mean, that would be a clear... Well, especially if the Borg haven't... Well, the Borg did so much damage in our time that, yes, Janeway probably took out most of them, but, well, what does that mean? So maybe it took 5 years and then he volunteered. I feel like Chakotay would be the sort of guy that volunteered to go back to see if the Borg are a threat. I feel like he'd be brave enough. What do you think? Would he be your guy for that?
Possibly. Mr. Anderson, though, makes a good point. Question: why did the holodeck Kobayashi simulation have bridge representations of both alternate future and perfect, And even future 29th century timeline badges.
Easy.
The 29th one is interesting.
Super easy, barely an inconvenient answer.
Go for it.
Because they talked to Braxton, who had 20th century com badge on the view screen, so they have that in the database. And they met Admiral Janeway from the future, who had a All Good Things com badge. So both those com badges have been scanned and are documented by the ship, or by Starfleet. They might not have one physically in hand, but they have the scans of them.
There you go.
Though those aren't the issue. The issue is the Future Imperfect one. Now that obviously they did technically talk to Worf with those on the view screen in that episode, so it would be on file like as a super zoom in. But why would it be there? I mean, you can imagine that maybe holodeck creators, artisans, you might say, thought, hey, Enterprise D sort of parallel universe, let's use that com badge in one of our holodeck programs because it adds a bit of flair. I could see that being a concept. Use your creative.
Maybe.
Yeah, this uniform's getting more interesting the more I draw it, by the way.
Guys, hit that like button. We need 2 away from 80. We need 85 people here. So
Ooh.
Should I ask for 100? I think I will. I'm going up to 100 guys.
I think you should do another poll as well. I think you should read out the poll and tell us the results, Stuart.
Okay, hold on a second.
Okie dokie.
Just talking to the mods here.
The mods are wonderful. But I'm going to go out on a limb and say that this is going to be a specialist uniform. This is going to be something that's symbolic of a branch or of a mission, or lower decks obviously open the floodgates with the lower end of the totem pole can have their own uniform. Maybe these guys can too. It certainly ain't unreasonable. It just if it's explained in the show, or at the very least we see a flashback of him in this uniform with Janeway in her normal Admiral's uniform, and it's like, oh, here we go.
All right. Well, not a bandit count, $2. Q was right. The tattoo should be bigger. Mr. Anderson says, Samuel, the badges were representations for the best Starfleet crews. 29th century hasn't happened yet.
Yes, but then they also had the Bajoran stuff, and Odo wasn't Bajoran.
That's true.
It's a bit of a convoluted one anyway, so let's not pretend it was the easiest answer. As an except something I gave.
Looking at our poll, we have 93 votes, so if you want to go vote in the poll real quick, that'd be awesome. But time travel, what do you think? The ship is from the future, 56%. Prodigy is actually set in the future, 26%.
Oh, okay.
Got
a few more votes, I thought.
Alternate timeline, protostar, 15%. The computer core has been altered, 3%.
Okay. Good touchstone to who thinks what. Okay. Almost done.
And that poll and start a new poll.
And I'm just trying to trace over the other uniform so I get it in the right spot.
Come on, give me a new poll.
Not saying it's going to be glorious, but
oh shit, what's my poll question going to be? I had one. Oh no, I can't remember. Give me a second. Yes, the protostar is -6. So yes, it is.
Well, it's a full NX class, or NX variant.
Looking around the Chakotay icon, you can see the text last updated L4245. If you consider that to be the star date, it's strongly 1.5 years before 43929.9 scene. And right after TNG, this Gizoid. Well, it doesn't fit then, does it? Unless it's an alternate universe.
Well, unless he's gone back in time and done his thing. Alright, so here is a drawn over sketch of what his uniform may look like in full. I think they did not too bad a job with this. Obviously, the subtlety of the... but it's interesting. It kind of takes the First Contact vibe and does some weird things to it. Oh, it's weird. It's hard to wrap your head around.
All right. This wasn't the one I originally had in mind, so I can't remember the one I originally had in mind. But oh, there it is. Would you guys want to have the Kelvin universe be the answer as to where the Earth star came from? Yes or no? Very simple one. Go vote. And please super chat any thoughts or theories you guys have. We'd really appreciate that, obviously.
So what do you think of that then?
What then? Uniform?
Mm-hmm. So in full iteration, based on all the drawing sketchy elements.
Hate it. I mean, it might look better in final on Photoshop form, but not a fan. If it, like people have said, if it's a specialist uniform or military or Mako or scientific or whatever, or because this is a prototype.
Well, it's definitely a specialist. Yeah.
Some kind of specialist uniform, then it would be perfectly fine.
But is it?
But
it's it reminisces to stuff, obviously. Like, kind of calls forward a bit to the Picard standard uniform. It pulls back a little bit like the Wrath of Khan and First Contact. But it's just a lot of black. But then again, Voyager is just all black, only red. I thought they just look like armbands, you know? Just putting the colour there. But I may like it better with the armbands than with just the top colour. I don't know. I think I just prefer, honestly, having the shoulders as the colour. That, I think, just looks better. It allows the skin to pop better.
I mean, your skin tone, but yeah.
Well, sure. What do you guys think?
Trekyards says YouTube has started to remove any non-positive comments, example, negative comment, feedback, or comments on channels. I have noticed that the comments I now see are entirely positive, which is unrealistic. On what? Which, our channel? Because we don't remove any comments from the YouTube comments.
I mean, we don't know. We can't speak to how moderated other YouTubers' channels are, but you know,
Yeah.
no, I don't think they would. I mean, I know they're doing weird stuff in some censorship stuff, but they're not going to start censoring stuff with Prodigy negative comments. That's a little bit below COVID's, importance.
I don't think he was talking about specifically Star Trek or Prodigy, just negative comments in general. They've already disabled the dislike count.
Yeah, that's weird. I guess they don't want Ghostbusters trailers anymore, etc. People's voices to be heard, etc.
Well, you can still dislike, and the creators can still see.
Yeah, but then you have the news stories of this is the most downvoted thing in history, which is a really great milestone to know. Well, you've done something wrong here, guys. The fans are not particularly
in all channels. It feels weird.
I mean, we had some on our videos that weren't exactly positive, so I don't necessarily.
Sergeant Montgomery, Federation flight suit. There you go.
Oh, like a test pilot suit. Yeah. Now that's interesting.
Yeah.
They kind of has
this is true. We know there's four people, including
Well, they did clarify that wasn't his crew at the time. That's a different crew.
Oh,
that wasn't this crew. That's why there was a technicality. Captain K was a captain of the Protostar, but that's not his crew of the Protostar. It's like, right. Okay, great. So yeah, maybe he did, because again, like I said, why would you use a hologram Janeway to assist you? I know you've got Kate Mulgrew on audio set. I know she's there, but you're captain of a starship, you're going to the Delta Quadrant, you're hitting an anomaly of some kind, something's going wrong, you're talking to your crew, not some hologram. No offense to hologram Janeway. So I think very possibly he beamed his crew away. He jettisoned the other escape pods. Why there's so few escape pods left in episode 2? Because we said there should be more than 3. What if there was 20 escape pods and they all got jettisoned except the last 3, which would link to that, and that might be a hint.
Down with the ship.
Exactly. And so he's like, hey, computer, give me a assistance. Janeway. Oh, nice. And then he's the only one that goes through. And yes, he's wearing this experimental jumpsuit thing. It does kind of give slightly racer vibes.
Yeah, Trekyards suggests civilian captain, but I don't know.
Well, he wouldn't be on an NX Starfleet experimental vessel then.
As a contractor testing it, yes, he might before it actually enters service. But I don't buy that for a second. Especially with the comm badge.
And Mr. Anderson says the hologram of Janeway next to Trekyard, I believe, is Admiral Janeway. Well, no, because they're in the Voyager uniform and with a Prodigy comm badge. If it was Admiral Janeway, it'd be a Nemesis costume with a Nemesis comm badge. So it wouldn't be those things. Yeah, Trekyard stole the ship. Now that's also an interesting concept. What if there's a reason here to go back? And that's why the ship isn't finished yet? Because, I mean, look how many plates on the hull are, like, inside, like, those panels aren't even finished. Which is, like Janeway did. Took after his mentor.
Maybe he went after Janeway because he knows what she did was wrong. Anyway, that's getting into the whole, you got to know everything there is to know about Star Trek in order to follow the plot. And if it's aimed more at a younger audience, that's not necessarily what you want to go for. So I don't know. Captain's pajamas. There you go. Yeah, he was sleeping and he got called to the bridge. Sure, we'll buy that. 83 likes, guys. Let's see if we get another 17, get up to 100. And haven't had a super chat in a while, so if you guys feel like super chatting, feel free. Okay, but yeah. I thought we'd have a lot more to talk about with this one, because this was such an interesting idea. I'm kind of out of stuff.
Well, we haven't gone back to about 14 years ago, which we'll do in a second. I just want to have our uniform debate while we were there. I'll just send you a private message briefly as well, because it's...
Ooh, I feel special and stuff.
Well, I can't say it publicly, so... Guys, talk amongst yourselves for a second, because that's how this works.
Yeah, I'll wait for your message to come in and stuff. Hit that like button, guys. Do all the stuff. Consider supporting your channel or this channel by super chatting. You know the routine.
Stuart can read it and react to it live without actually reacting to it live. But what a weird world we live in, that I could just tell you that.
Cool, good to know. That's all I'll say about that.
Yes.
Knowing the future, time travel things. What?
There you go, Stuart. Okay.
That's cool.
Now, 17 years ago, let's jump back to that then. So we know this is his starship. To me, this landscape, I mean, it's visual. So yeah, this is what's it called? Antis Morris or something. The planet. It's got a cool name. The prison colony place. But the visual of this planet looks way less death and destruction-y. So maybe it was a much more filled, pleasant place to be, and then they kind of mined it into decimation. 17 years. Just the color grading is much more pleasant than the last time we saw it. So the ship lands. Do they say he knows a protostar is somewhere here? I assume. Well, they say the protostar, but we've obviously landed here for reasons. The same place it was for 17 years. But why would it take 17 years to mine something? Why can't they just scan for the... Like, if there's only one warp core on the entire planet, except your own, why can't you detect that? The ship was clearly about functional. The amount of times in Trek we can just scan for XYZ mineral. I mean, it happens all the time, It
says we will find it. Many filled before, years wasted. Even if the protostar is here. And then this just gets cut off with then I will make him progeny.
But now, does he mean... I mean, are they red herring us here? Is it Protostar or Protostar Drive or Protostar
Could be a
energy
Protostar
source?
drive. That's one of the things. Maybe the Protostar drive was created by his species. Starfleet acquired it, turned it into a ship, and as a result, every time they used it, it like decimated their planet. Kind of like the DMA.
Yeah.
Maybe they didn't know they were causing all this destruction to us. I don't know. Huh. Well, we speculated early on that perhaps the mineral that they're mining here might have been caused by the protostar's drive when it hit the planet or something. Well, they know they suspect the protostar is there because it's like the only place that has this element, which I can't remember what the element is called right now.
Yeah, which I agree is a really good. There's a really good potential.
And I think Murph is going to be really tied to this drive.
We've talked about that. Yeah. Maybe he is the protostar.
Maybe that's why Murph's so hungry all the time, because it's always refueling and recharging.
It's a protostar creature. And do you want to read Eric's comment? So I watched a bit of your live debate on this.
Right. Eric Martin. So it is generally agreed that there is no actual Kobayashi Maru, and that it was just a Klingon trick to attract Starfleet ships. Or was it really a ship in distress? The Klingons were just taking advantage. I read that in a funny voice because that was the most ridiculous argument I had.
Gosh, for Kalish. That is wise. Would you agree? Yes. Shall I give my thoughts now that I'm live with you?
Go for it.
Kobayashi Maru was a real thing that happened sometime between the NX-01 and TMP. It was not a good day to die. And they took as inspiration to write something, probably didn't exactly happen, but it was very similar. A ship was on the... Oh my goodness. A ship crossed the Klingon neutral zone, and it presented a problem for the captain, and they realized this is a really good baseline. Everyone can relate to it. Klingons have been around for the whole time. There's a real ship, and in the situation, there is a real ship called the Kobayashi Maru. It's really on the Klingon border, and the Klingons either found it or drew it in. They disabled it. Because that recording could easily be that recording could easily be a fake recording. I'd rather the ship be real than have the signal be fake, etc. But yeah, real ship really happened. Something you really have to say, but it isn't just as simple as a distress call. Because if it was as simple as a distress call, because the Enterprise is scanning something, or whatever ship has to scan. If Klingons can just successfully fully fake a Starfleet ship, this would happen all the time. I'm assuming when they detect the Kobayashi Maru, it sends IFFs and they know, oh, it's a real ship in distress. So
yeah. It was obviously based on. I think it was based on a real incident, and So
it's the vibe it gives off.
Signal from the Klingons. They started jamming the transmission. That's why they lost signal with the Kobayashi Maru.
And just to clarify, did you get a haircut today or something? I feel like something's different.
It's Magnum, Blue Steel. I don't know, whichever one.
What?
It's from Juvan.
Oh yes. Goodness.
Oh, there's another. That's the third Russian fucking bot in this chat today, which you have had to nuke.
They've got more impetuous, eh?
Yeah, they're really spamming our lives lately.
Weird. So yeah, maybe like I said, maybe it isn't the Kobayashi. Nope. Maybe it is the Protostar drive, because I mean, maybe actually. Okay, so take this for a second. What if the ship was experimental, based around the Pro drive, but the drive itself is just tech that they say were given. Any ship could have it. You don't actually need the third engine. Maybe that was just their way of doing it, and it gets test lost back in this quadrant.
Well, I still think the Protostar drive works by using wormhole technology. I still think it's going to be a thing.
Well, maybe there's a logic that if you open a micro wormhole at warp in subspace, it's stable for a second. Have you tried opening a wormhole in subspace? And those words mean something, I guess. That's quite a slick solution. But is it a red herring? Because this certainly made us go a flutter. But
Well,
because they don't say we're not searching for the USS Protostar, but you wouldn't say that. The Protostar is all you have to say.
yeah, you wouldn't say we're looking for these, the USS Enterprise.
No.
Just say Enterprise.
But is that the red herring of it's a Protostar-based technology? Which in itself, but what Protostar base? That's just it's being powered by a Protostar. Okay. Well, that doesn't tell anything about the drive speed. Like that's Protostar is not what it's doing; it's what it's being powered by. It's like the Romans' Singularity core.
Yes.
But that's not their warp drive. It just powers their ship. So it's the Protostar just powers the enhanced warp generator transforming drive.
Grant McGregor says TOS movie had a wormhole from warp. Yeah, from an imbalanced warp.
That's right.
Imbalanced warp field. Yes.
That is a deep dive.
Shane Ackery, $2. What if Prodigy destroys the Diviner's race?
Oh.
Yeah, maybe it already did, and that's why he's looking for it. And if it can travel through time by using these, maybe that's why he wants to find it, so he can go back and stop it from happening. Which, yeah, then you get the whole Year of Hell type stuff with Craxus, Axis, Raxus, Red Foreman.
Anorax.
Yeah, that's the guy. So, yes, doing the right thing. No, not really doing the right thing. Doing the right thing for the wrong reasons, or the needs of the one outweigh the needs of the many, kind of thing. I don't know.
But I don't can imagine that it's a time travel drive itself. That must have been an accident. Because the one hint we have is that they saw an anomaly. And we very well might get, finally, Stuart, Chico saying, it's a temporal anomaly!
And like I said, no, you're not going to get that. You wish. Like I said, maybe it's just a way of abridging your travel time. You still travel at a 9.99999 rate, but the Protostar, in some way, the wormhole makes it seem like only a minute or two has passed. So they're like small micro time jumps or something.
Well, isn't that just the idea of, it happens in lots of sci-fi, traveling near the speed of light, time slows down.
I hate that shit.
Yeah, it seems very inefficient. And that was the whole point of warp, it alleviates that.
Yes.
But I mean, would that be an interesting plot device if suddenly, all of a sudden, we see the Diviner and he's like, God damn it, and whatever the crew's like, what's wrong, Diviner? It's been 3 years since you left. No, it's been 2 days. No. And yeah, it turns out But would you ever want to use it then if you're losing several years worth of real time? I mean, yes, time travel. What are you doing? Fine, I'll bite.
It's in my beard. You got a problem?
Well,
get with a big bushy
I
beard.
can't see a mouth.
It's because my mustache is too long.
I mean, it is, yes.
What were you saying?
What was I saying? Oh yeah, would you really want to like if it does? Because if you
wouldn't use it all the time though, that's the thing.
Would you want to sacrifice 3 years? I mean, if the whole ship is built around the drive, then it would be something you need to want to use.
It's not 3 year shit. Like a journey that would take you 2 months, you can do in 2 minutes.
For you.
Yeah.
Still takes 2 months for the world though.
Yeah, but if there's some kind of stasis mobility in the ship, so you only think literally 2 minutes has passed.
But no, I'm fine with that. That's a fine idea. That's what I mean. I mean, if it in 4,000 light years to get all of the, so if they want to say they want to go back to the Combo homeworld, right? 4,000 times 20, and if that takes 2 minutes in your time, 2 months in real time, you're still traveling for several years and then back. Are you willing to, as a crew, lose 2 or 3 years of real time? Yes, it might seem like a day to you, but it's like now you're back and it's 23/8. It's 28.
Well, they're not losing real time. You're missing the point. It all happens within the wormhole. The time displacement, so there's no real time passing when you come out of the wormhole. It's like a warp bubble. What happens in the warp bubble stays in the warp bubble.
So saying just like warp moves the universe, the wormhole in warp moves the time around you. You move time around you, not you in time.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Well,
Makes sense. It really
yeah, well, yeah, it
does.
just seemed extremely convoluted though.
Oh, absolutely it is. But
Transport's much easier. You just
that
go in
was
a
just
thing and you
one
come out.
speculation on how the drive might work.
Right.
Why it took them a minute to travel 4,000 light years, or however long it took them. We're not sure, but they were still screaming, so you assume it wasn't very fucking long.
But it's
And
yeah,
4,000 light years isn't really that far in the grand scheme of things. And they didn't realize that however much time had passed. Maybe that's all related to the protostar drive. It's shield. I don't know. Whatever. It's a thought.
it's complicated. Yeah, I really had to think about that one. My brain went blah. Let's find the other picture of.
No, Eric, I understand. Even Janeway was like, temporal mechanics gives me a headache.
Yes.
Problem is, it's sci-fi, so anything's possible.
I mean, warp isn't possible yet, so the whole premise of the show is, you know, conceptual.
Anything's possible. You just gotta discover it.
I know. I said it isn't possible yet.
I know, but it is possible. Very likely.
Yes, young man diviner. I'm just an accountant.
Trek, now we're not talking about that specifically. We're not talking about real. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, Trek ignores the real world. Like, how's replicator work? Energy to matter? How? You know, we've skipped that part. But yeah, okay, so if we're assuming then, yeah, the ship did crash, so let's go literal with it, right? Ship crashes 17, well, no, the ship is already there 17 years ago. And there's, I mean, somewhat implied maybe his family was trying to find it for a while. So what if we even go far as back as, you know, when I was a kid, my dad talked about searching for the protostar.
Jesus.
Yeah, well, if it's a one-time time jump, what if he goes back 100 years? Because, hey, what if Jaco's actually on the ship in a cryo unit? I mean, maybe he tried to escape the Delta
Maybe he's
Quadrant.
under the mattress of the bed in the captain's quarters.
It just rotates and he's just lying down and it's like, oh my god, hey guys. And Dahl's there like on his phone. It's like, the fuck? Who are you? Who are you? It's my quarters. And all of his stuff's there because he put all the stasis with them. But would that be interesting if, yeah, he decided kind of like, because I think, didn't he, I remember the NX-01 was the exact same story. The NX-01 went back in time accidentally, lived a whole other lifetime to catch up with itself. It's great episode. So if Chakotay went back in time, decided to stasis himself, maybe even transporter buffer. I mean, we've now used that in Discovery, so he's in the transporter buffer, which they haven't thought, because they've never used transporters yet. What if maybe the first time they use transporters, they say beep 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 beep, there's something in the buffer, energize, and it's Chakotay, and he's like 6 months into being a Delta Quadrant saying, I can't, I'm
gonna say, here's the thing: in the Kobayashi, when the transporter does work, is that just a holographic representation of the transporter because they're already on the holodeck?
Yes.
Or was that? Okay.
It's hollow beamed into a hollow. Yes. Well, it's like, I mean, you can make a portal in the holodeck and it'll work. It's just moving your perception.
Mm-hmm. No, I get it. But
yeah. I mean, I'm fine with either. I just assume that was a hollow transporter. Especially as it wasn't like it was a JJ transporter, so I'm giving hope that it's not. No, but that makes it more likely it is the ship's one, because TNG one wouldn't be using a wrong.
Maybe the ship is Kelvin, and that was their little clue.
That was a big clue.
It was a little clue. Not a lot of people caught it. So.
Yeah. But what do you think, though, if the ship did go back 100 years, made a mistake as soon as it got there, made this race as a known, they saw the power of a protostar in the palm of my hand, to quote Doc Ock, and then they start chasing it, which we've seen in sci-fi before. Chakotay avoids, but he's only one man, one ship. It's not really armed for this, and he knows that maybe he can use a protostar drive one more time, and then you have to charge it for, like, he's leaving it in reserve. Once he uses it, he can't get it back. And they use it by accident, which is kind of cute. Like, if it's that limited use. I mean, you can recharge it, it just takes a lot to do. And so he puts himself in stasis. He does a radical maneuver where he goes into the planet, maybe, like, activates a thing, like, which causes the crystals. Maybe he crashes on it, releases a chemical. It's a future ship, isn't it? Than they were used to. Causes the crystals to build up at the top of him. The diviner finds him 30 years later, 40 years later, his this diviner son man does. Then they start digging, and then they'll find him in transport stasis. Is that good enough for him to actually be in the show? Do you want Chakotay in the show as an actual primary character?
Yes.
Ooh.
Yes. But it'd be interesting if he was being held prisoner or something somewhere.
Even
if it's time, no, it could be a stasis prison.
Okay, stasis prison, yeah.
Because what happened to the crew? Like, you gotta figure that out as well. Like, something happened to him and the crew. The ship was empty. There was no personal effects. They made a point of saying that in dialogue.
Well, what if? Let's go one more radical. Let's make it even more contemplative. What if he's part of the research team because he knows that the ship is meant to go to the Delta Quadrant, right? That's the plan eventually. And so he's been assigned to take command. Great, makes sense. And the ship's doing some training cruise, or it's at Planitia being built, and so then Protostar activates, and the drive goes wrong. It activates, and it goes 4,000 light years out of Federation space, and Chakotay's the only one on board because he's doing an inspection or something random, and suddenly he's 4,000 light years, and then because
that's why he's talking to the Janeway hologram,
because he needs someone to talk to. Yeah, exactly, and because he doesn't know the ship fully, he's not meant to be the pilot, is he? He's meant to be the captain. So the Janeway's doing a lot of the stuff, and then once he's there, the drive resonates with something. It causes an anomaly because it's like magnets coming together. The effect caused another effect. Sends him back in time, and now he's there alone. He's like, well, shit. I was just here to have a look at the ship, which we're going to launch eventually. I sort of know how it works. Explain no personal effects. Everything's ready but not done. The Protostar drive was charged up over. Maybe even he did. Because the ship's not crashed on the planet, it was landed, right? The ramp was down, it was landed. So it wasn't crashed. So maybe he landed on the planet, and then he worked out that the Protostar drive needs to take like 60 years to build up energy. And so he put himself in stasis. The stasis date went wrong, never woke up. The drive's now fully powered again. Enough so that maybe
it's going to take another 60 years to recharge.
Well, I'd say maybe it overcharged.
Well, only on the planet's surface, not near us.
Yeah, exactly. Like he couldn't risk tech being out there in the wild.
He had no MRF.
Yeah,
MRF's going to key to this.
Supercharger, yeah, maybe a catalyst. So that'd be quite cool. Temporal prime directive, and just catch up with yourself. And then once so from his perspective, if I wait 60 years, I can then move out. I can get home, etc., etc. And just kind of all goes wrong.
I'm going to end this poll. You guys want the Kelvin universe to be the answer to what the Protostar comes from? Yes, 31%. No, 69%.
I vote no.
Poll. All right. You could do a Chakotay poll now, maybe of some sort. But whether they want him in the show or something. 96 likes. Can we get 4 more likes to 100? And we're really super light on super chats today.
Amazing.
But that's okay.
It's very strange.
It is what it is.
Especially given a really cool topic.
Yeah.
It's weird. Well, we tried.
We try all the time.
Sometimes
we fail.
But the question is though, there's lots of questions. They're all questions. Will the next episode like jump in with a expositional scene? Will it explain who Chakotay is? Will they be able to make the hologram? Yeah. Will it maybe say, it's been 6 hours, I've managed to clean up the hologram and now it's in full color and it's moving?
Yeah. That's exactly what's going to happen. You're going to see Chakotay sitting in the chair. They're going to pan back, and they're going to be on the holodeck, seeing a recreation of
Oh yeah.
something.
That's good. The Protostar bridge inside of the Protostar holodeck.
Yeah.
That's good. I like that.
Squadron course, $1. Thank you so much.
$1.
Yeah, I think it's going to start off like that. Like, and reading his service record. Captain Chakotay became captain and
Yeah.
and something like that. I think it's still not going to have all the answers, obviously, but I think it's going to start like that.
Because in theory, we have to actually, because kids don't know who the hell this is. This is just some guy. They'll need to have a who is Chakotay scene because he's going to be important. But that'd be kind of funny if Jamie then goes through his service record, like, and they join the Marquis to fight Karatins and does like the who, and then he did this, bad lads fight the Okaba, who, and then he had the Kazon, the who. Oh, I know Kazon.
Or
kind of funny if it like, yeah.
Or I can just hear Janeway saying, "Yeah, Chakotay. My computer program is based on Captain Janeway, and Chakotay was her first officer. They spent 7 years in the Delta Quadrant trying to get home." There's going to be some kind of explanation like that. I think maybe from Janeway to start off as well. So, yeah, that's my bet for how it's going to start.
No, for sure. I'm kind of assuming, kind of hoping it's in fact going to start with a boom first scene. It's going to be present. Well, it's going to be in the past. They're going to say 2363. Start with this scene, Chakotay in full uniform on the Protostar bridge, pans at him, the hologram in real time. Turn, see the anomaly outside the window. You turn back. He says something, and then flash to white, and then. 17 years later, present day, you rewatch a hologram and say, what happened? So we kind of get to, we see the action for a second. Maybe even like a diviner ship is outside, or like the Protostar comes to anomaly, a diviner ship's there, or maybe some like Borg ship or Kazon ship or something familiar.
Yeah.
I think we're going to start with an epic action opening to kind of grab the kids and like summarize who is Chakotay now,
It's going to start with a bang. Yeah, I think so. Salisbury 2025, $5. Thank you so much. Love the work you guys do. Keep up the great content. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. And Squadron Course Frozen, another $1. Thank you, Squadron Course.
He's super chat sniping.
And we hit over 100 likes. I'm not going to ask for any more like goals. 120.
Yeah, we do like our likes. They are free, and simple and easy. Or are they going to be annoying and tease it too much? Or are we going to start with maybe like a hologram of Chakotay in Voyager uniform, and Janeway's and Darcy's. So who is Chakotay? And Janeway's like, well, he was my second. Like gives the spiel in his old uniform variant, and then they say, well, we haven't been able to decipher any more of it because it's all damaged. So we kind of get the opposite. We kind of get the introduction of, or as I joked to you in a previous live, or do we get a Voyager flashback? Do we get an unseen Voyager episode where you have Mulgrew and Chakotay in the center seats on the Voyager bridge doing a brief scene, fresh, as a flashback to give the audience, the kids, a sense of, well, which show is this from, who are they important, like a moment of the two of them, or even like something simple, them in the captain's quarters, they have dinner sometimes. I start with a dinner scene with the two of them in Voyager uniform, and it's like, wow, this is an unseen Voyager scene they can retcon back in,
I doubt they'll do that, but it would
they've
be
got the assets
cool
for that, like the uniform wise. It wouldn't be too hard to put that together.
Yeah, I doubt they'll do that, but that would be super cool.
So imagine like the first shots of the Voyager flying by. It's like, what? Oh my god! It's the Voyager.
We have to go back to rescue Chakotay, otherwise the diviner would never catch up to them. They're so far away.
That's interesting. That's a good point. Yeah, he was.
Well, yeah, we've speculated that before, though. That Gwendol is gonna want to go back and rescue that little Cetacean girl as well.
Or just rescue the prisoners. I mean,
the kids. Yeah.
Jeremy might sort of be like, those slaves that we could go rescue. Do you want to go do that now? It's like,
yeah.
Dal? Do you want to go do that? No, okay, maybe next week.
Stanley says the episodes are only about 20 minutes ish. They can't show everything in one episode. They'll have to spread it over a few. Yeah, absolutely. We're not going to get all the answers next episode. That's not what we're saying at all. but we need to get at least Who's Chakotay from Janeway.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Well, they've crammed a lot in. They've rarely given us a lack of story in the 20 minutes, which is very impressive. No, we definitely have to start off with a bang, we think. And then it'll go into the slow story of maybe the Protostar drive is powering up again, 10% they're confused by that, or Gwen is now taking charge a bit too much because she, I'm the one that broke into the encryption, I should be in charge, and Dar's a bit like, well,
I can see them monitoring the core, seeing that it's recharging, and all of a sudden, like, Zero's doing that, and all of a sudden Murph eats something, all of a sudden it just spikes a bit, and they're like, wait a minute. And they're going to put 2 and 2 together that there's somehow a connection between Murph and the drive.
Yeah, or maybe literally because Murph ate all the bombs.
Jesus, yeah. You should have seen the spike in the recharge rate. That would have been kind of neat.
Yeah, maybe, like you say, we're going to get a monitoring it. Murph squidges towards the core, sort of globs onto it, and then we see vroom, 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 and it's like, so that's why you have 433 bombs, because life forms like Murph can use them. It was just simpler to do that than to try and fuel him. Just put bombs in him. That's why he eats them. That's why you've got 33 crates of explosives.
The other thing we needed to explain too was the photonic grenades. How many there were in the crates for some reason on this ship. I like it. It's dangerous, but I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Here, eat this. There's super easier ways to give him the required fuel source, Given last week where they used a ton of old voice lines from various shows, I can see them playing a scene between Janeway and Chakotay, or at least the audio from one is an explanation of who he is. That'd be great, yeah, for sure.
But I do think if they're going to do that, they'd rather just write a new scene, because they've already got them in the studio, than trying to find some stuff. I know they won't sound the same, but that's fine. Have them do a new scene. And it's hard enough to do any scene, unless they literally take one single scene verbatim and then recreate it in the
animation style.
Although, boy, they'll do a Discovery Season 2, they'll just show Voyager. Just show a scene for Voyager, then cut to the Prodigy. It's like, I with the cage. It's like, that doesn't quite connect. That's not what Pike looks like. That's not what your bridge looks like. Passed. It's like, okay, fair enough.
Yeah, we kind of need to get a cut scene, a deleted scene from Voyager that was recreated in this animation style to kind of fill in the gap of an episode, or an alternate take of one or something.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. But a deleted scene just recorded fresh 20 years later. But I gotta say, this is the apart from the first episode, probably where the third episode leading into, which was disappointing because not much happened. But this week I'm probably a bit too excited because I'm not necessarily going to live up to that. But this is definitely the most like, come on, hurry up. Even though it means all the editing again I've got to do. It's like, ugh, that again. But I'm really like, come on, Thursday, go on. What day is it today? Is it Tuesday? Tuesday.
It is.
2 more full days. 2 more.
Two more sleeps till Prodigy.
I want to know. This is the one. I'm more interested than I was in Discovery for the reveal. Shouldn't be weird if there's no reveal. But it might start off with another bang. It might start off with Utopia Planitia, and there's 3 Discovery ships. And then a future ship is like, God damn it, you use the assets again! Stop using them! I know they're canon in Picard, but go away! Raycon! Raycon! Can you imagine what a piss take that'd be? Discovery work bees again. They're in one short, go away.
Kind of neat if they started, like Utopia Planitia, and you see a pan out, you see some ships, pan into the space station, you see Chakotay in front of an admiral saying...
Admiral Janeway!
No, not Admiral Janeway. Just another admiral saying, something about losing the Protostar. Can't say all those years ago, though, because it's only 5 years after Voyager. Never mind. That's a dumb idea.
That's the problem with trying to absolutely extract a lot of concepts from such a little information. Like we would not have called him as the Captain Protostar until literally last Thursday. That was not the obvious idea. That was kind of a curveball. So it's kind of hard to predict this one. Not doing what we expect, which is good. I'm sitting on my toes more than I'd be otherwise. Hmm. Now, see, Eric, he says, I think they'll focus on Gwen unlocking Holly Jeremy's memories so they understand what's going on. Well, they've already unlocked them all, it's just a case of recombining, analysing.
They said it'd take months to sift through the raw data.
Because that's like get a jail free card. It's like, oh, now I know the entire plot. Because if the computer has access to all the information, to which the ship has access to all the logs, well, there's no reveal then. If anything, they might say, turns out more of the data was more damaged than we thought. You know, it's more corroded. Like, there's a lack of information than we thought. That would be more of an interesting reveal. The lack of something. That's just me, anyway. But, Stuart, I think we're at the final Super Chat slot time. We've kind of had our...
I would think so. Right now, Squadra Course has it with $1.
Can we get another 25? To reach 1/4 of our minimum? That's it. 25% of our minimum would be lovely. Oh, this week's episode.
Yeah, guys. And if you can hit the like button, if you haven't, we maybe get up to 120.
Ooh.
So I was going to have no more like goals, but 16 more likes would be helpful, at least. So, Eric says, what a week. Boba on Wednesday, Prodigy on Thursday, Expanse finale on Friday. Better hit the LCBO. Yeah, I thought the last episode of the Expanse was already out, so I caught up and watched it. And I'm like, this isn't the last fucking episode. And I'm like, I'm stuck because I watched all the Expanse with no waiting. And now I'm like waiting for the last episode. So it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I did that for Attack on Titan. We thought that was the last episode because that was kind of how it was promoted a little bit. And then it's like, oh, this is the final episode. It's really having some weird turns in the last episode. Wow, last 5 minutes. How are they going to resolve everything in 5 minutes? Oh, they didn't. Oh, there's 13 more.
13 more episodes?
13. 1-3.
That's what I said, 13.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Which is great because it was not finishing. It was like contextually. Okay, wow, so much to finish. 3 episodes and 2 episodes. Wow, this final episode must be 2-part. Nope. Very confusing day. That was although while we try and get those last $25, we can talk about Book of Fett, the last episode, briefly. So
Great.
What do you think of Mandalorian sequel number 1, season 1, episode 2?
I loved it. It was fantastic. It was very reminiscent of a lot of other things like Dances with Wolves and Great Train Robbery, stuff like that. But it worked on so many levels, and I don't know why people are just kind of dismissing it, or a lot of people are all up in arms that it's not good. I disagree 100%. I think it's fantastic. It probably should have been episode 1, though, and maybe switch the 2 around a bit, because it was more grabby. But
yeah, but I mean, you need to start with the Sarlacc pit. That was the logical fan way, to start. No, I think that's the sort of show.
Like a panther.
Yeah. I think Book of Fett is such that you need to have 0 expectations. It's going to do whatever the hell it wants.
Yep.
At no pace that you want or deserve. But it will surprise you with cool things. It's well thought out. But just, you're there for a story. You don't know what the story is yet. Just enjoy the living. It's very much like almost a documentary. Like, just enjoy being in the universe. Doesn't feel like there's a grand story. Doesn't feel like there's a big story arc besides the small stuff. Like, it just feels like a very average sort of thing. Even though he's like the best bounty hunter in the galaxy. But, he got his ass kicked a few times now. Which I kind of like. I know lots of people said about Star Wars, it can only be told through evil galactic bad force of epic power versus small rebellious faction with a giant death ray that causes stress the entire universe. Because that was done like 6 times. And so going completely away from that, 0 force, less dialogue, and just showing the universe. But it's so refreshing. Because I want to see a story about the Sand People. I want to see a story about the Bothans. I want to see, just show me a story, any story, in this universe where you can incorporate stuff. And also when you incorporate things like the Hutts and you bring continuity, and that's great. That's the grander universe stuff. But, small stories are interesting. They're simple.
What was really interesting about this was that I never once considered the Sand People to be like Native Americans. But even the title, the tribes of Tatooine, that's exactly what they are, and you have a lot more respect for them now as a result. You never really consider them that way before. They're just picking off pod racers, you know. But this, humanized them, and kind of sad in a way because Anakin slaughtered a whole village of them, not just the men, but the women and the children
and the puppies.
I hate them. Oh yeah, I like the dogs. I like the Sand People's dogs.
Yeah, and they're from
Anyway.
they're from the prequels, like same design. It's great.
But it's funny that it made me think of them in a totally new light that I never even considered before. I didn't see them as bad people necessarily, just nomadic tribesmen, like desert tribes. But this one had much more of a Native American feel, with the culture and the acceptance and stuff. So I don't know. It was great to get a new insight into Star Wars after all these years. So,
see, I had a slightly different way round because I'd played Knights of the Republic 1 and 2, and in Knights of the Republic 1, your character actually has a big storyline on Tatooine where you go out into the Dune Sea, you make contact with one of the big tribes, and you literally spend several missions inside their encampment. You talk about their politics, their culture, you learn about their ways, you fight with them against a crate dragon, you trade with them, you can slaughter them all as well if you want at the end, but I always choose not to, except that one time. And so from that, I knew that those are the indigenous people of Tatooine. That's their planet, and then everyone else came along. So I already knew that for 20 years. That's been part of the lore that isn't really felt in New Hope. They're just like a group. They could be anything underneath those those costumes. But knowing those are like the nomadic actual base, people who lived there, really was great to see in real and their culture. Very probably a bit too literally Native American. I think the nail on the head was a little, or the whatever the expression is. It's too strong because it's just
that plays Boba Fett is a Maori tribes Anyway, he knows because he grew up in the islands, so he's
the actor. You mean?
Yeah, the actor, whatever the hell his name is.
Yeah.
So that dance they did at the end was one of his tribal dances, and the weapon they use is even in 1977. They basically appropriated their weapon for the Sand People, and then added the spike on the end with the fins from the jet. So it's an actual Maori weapon, and that dance is, his cultural dance. So it was a nice tie-in to all of that. So, Squadra Course, $2. Sorry, super chats are low. I'm a little broke this week. That's okay. Man.
I hope you're doing well apart from that.
Eric Martin, $5. Something for some hard-working guys. Well, thank you, Eric. You're now the last super chat slot as of right now. So.
Well, we're only $14 away from 1/4 of our minimum. Just saying.
Yes, it's true.
But no, it was good. I think it was. It is very Mandalorian-esque, where there's so little dialogue and so much screen time. They just take their time. Weirdly, the Mandalorian guy is a bit more compelling because he's more of a mystery, and there's more. Like, Boba Fett's kind of a broken man. He's broken past his ways of violence, kind of. Like, he doesn't want to be a bounty hunter anymore. He wants to be a guy who runs a thing without as much killing. Whereas the other guy's happy to punch people to save his child. Like, there's a different line. Well, I do like every time he takes his helmet off and just chat. Whereas the other guy never takes... That's nice, he doesn't want his helmet on. It's a tool. It's an aid. It's not his identity. So I always quite like that. Although I'm kind of surprised the lady assistant robot person has so few lines, because she's a pretty well-known actress, and she's not had anything to do really. I don't know.
You know how old she is? Take a guess.
Well, you say that, obviously I would say 50s, but
50 what? Just pick a number between 50 and 60.
54.
She's 58. She's almost 60 years old, and she looks like that. And can fight and can move.
Well, her stun double can fight and move in a helmet.
No, she can as well. She's a martial artist.
Well, I mean, most of the stuff isn't her because she wouldn't need to be her. But yeah, it's some stuff. That's why they wear helmets. It's great. They're running across the city skyline. 58, damn, phenomenal.
Yeah, she's 58. Yeah.
I mean, makeup and TV does do a lot for you. Let's be fair, but that's wow. Hey, good for her. But I'm surprised she isn't getting any arc at all. I don't know what she thought when she signed on, but there's nothing for that character yet. But obviously,
there's gonna be some focus on it, I'm sure.
But it is obviously a story about we're just trying to read. Well, they do the prequel stories, aren't they? How did he survive, and then how did he find his new purpose? These are the prequel stories that we've waited, twice my lifetime to. Oh well, almost to find out. But it would be nice to. Oh, and it was also great to see the one CGI shot of young Django. That was cute. The reflection. Which is,
And yes, Stanley says she does a lot of her own stunts. Yes, she does.
Yeah, sure she does. But yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
Cool. Look forward to episode 3. Anything can happen. But I do think low expectations. Just enjoy the ride. Don't expect like a big story. Just whatever happens, enjoy it. It's all good. Although it was really good to see the huts. That was nice. And it was that was really fun as well to see the Bossk people, the Trandosans, because you rarely see those. They had a lot of makeup. Because there's a lot of like animated stuff you should in theory do with those guys. They aren't just static. But they had quite a big influence on them.
And
I liked
that couple at the bar. Cammy and the other guy, they were in the cut scene in Star Wars.
What a strange thing to reference. I was like, we don't spend much time with these people. You can cut away now, guys. You can cut away. It's fine. Although, God, just the amount of makeup they put on these actors, as in the aliens, they're so iconic, and they're not inventing new aliens, and they're just so good. And seeing all the just those masks and the way they do them just look so good and movie-like and real. But they've been doing them for years and years of the prequels and stuff. I mean, they've been constantly updated and improved. But gosh, they just throw any alien in any scene, and boom, there's production value.
Absolutely,
yeah. Our super chat is Eric, which makes sense.
Thanks you, Eric,
so much. And we'll see you tomorrow for another topic on a thing.
Yes, we'll probably do a live on Thursday, but it won't be the review. We'll probably do the review on Friday still. Thursday we might do another live though, and maybe a what if live. You guys bring us a what if topic, and we'll discuss it. And Matt Boardman had a good idea with that as well. We picked like the top 10 best out of that whole live, or top 4, top 3, and then kind of flesh out a story around that, how we would make a story about it. That might be kind of fun, actually, kind of like a continuing what if series.
Or especially if we write on every single potential answer from the fans, and then we have a long list and we just pick them each time. Yeah, that sounds fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, like I said when you were doing your one, what if Kirk survived the Enterprise B? That's a big what if, Or
yeah. What if Kirk took the captain's chair and let Harriman go down? There you go. Yeah.
Interesting stuff, Joe. Cool beans. All right, we'll see you guys tomorrow then. Until then, have a great evening. He is Captain Foley.
He is some guy with a haircut.
And a shirt.
Commander Cockings.
Look, buy the shirt down below. Links.
Yes. Links. To public. All right, guys. We'll see you guys tomorrow, and live long and prosper.